Hello and welcome to Cinema Explorer. I'm Moksh.
And I'm Muskan.
And today we'll review the latest season of the famous Netflix series Bridgerton.
The first season was primarily based on Daphne Bridgerton and the Duke of Hastings. The second season is based on Anthony Bridgerton, who is the eldest son of the Bridgerton family. He has now decided to get married and find a viscountess for the family.
And he has a long list of demands and what he needs in his wife, and it becomes quite difficult for him to find one.
Amidst all of this, we are introduced with a new family, the Sharma family, whose daughters Kate and Edwina are prospects for the new season. The most important character of the Sharma family is Kate Sharma, played by the sex education fame Simone Ashley.
On one hand, Edwina Sharma is looking for a love match, and on the other hand, Anthony just wants to fulfill his duties and get married, while Kate is looking for a suitable husband for her sister, and this all results in a big love triangle.
If you're wondering, this season is still in continuation with the story of its former season, but does it live to the expectation and charm of season 1? Let's find out. The main lead of this season is Anthony Bridgerton, played by Jonathan Bailey. His character was very problematic in the first season, I think.
Yeah, he was very assertive, very stubborn, didn't care actually for a lot of his siblings, for his sister Daphne. He was willing to ensure that she gets married to anyone, whoever he liked, and also the fact that the woman he loved, he didn't care much for her. And that is why his character was very difficult to connect with in the first season.
And that is what this season improves on. We see a very strong backstory of his character, how his father died and how his death impacted his entire life, his entire perspective on life. And that is what makes us empathize with his character in this season.
Through the backstory, they also try to shed light on the relationship shared between Anthony and Lady Bridgerton and how the events of this particular season bring them closer and how they share an emotional bond in between them.
The main reason why everyone loved and adored Bridgerton was the central romance of the story. The same is seen in this season as well because the chemistry between Anthony and Kate works so well. Their love story is very compelling and we were rooting hard for them throughout the season because of the love and banter they share. Now, one thing I saw a lot of people complaining about was the lack of steamy scenes between the two characters, but I think they're not that few.
I think this particular criticism is very weird because there were a few scenes and the main point is that they were important for the story. They were not just there for the sake of it. So even if they were less, I couldn't care much about it because they focused on the drama and the love story, and that is what I enjoyed the most.
What I really loved about this season was how we saw a very close dynamic between the Bridgerton siblings. There was rivalry, there was sibling rivalry, they were teasing each other, they were playing together. There was a lot of love and support for each other.
Yeah.
And we saw duos that we didn't see in the first season, like Gregory and Anthony. We saw all the three brothers fencing together. There was a lot of bonding between them and I really loved it.
They tried to give a broader look to these characters. They were not just trying to focus on the main central romance. They also wanted to set up stories for these different characters and show the relationship. And I think that is what the show thrives on. Because it's Bridgerton, so the Bridgerton family needs to be shown. And the relationship and sometimes the banter that they share, it's brilliant.
Another thing that I just love about this series is how well the casting is done. The actors that play these brilliant characters are so compelling and they do such a good job. Jonathan Bailey is extremely charming as his role as Anthony, and even Simone Ashley, she does such a good job in this. The way she's emoting, every small gesture, every small expression is so brilliant.
I think the whole ensemble cast does a great job. And I'm already in love with a lot of characters. We got to see a lot of Eloise, and that's always a plus side. Also got to see a lot of Benedict, and that's always fun because I think he's the most fun character in the series. So yeah, I love that part. Also, at first I was not sure about Edwina Sharma, but later on as the character grew, I could see that the actor was warming up to the character and how she was performing brilliantly towards the end episodes.
And I loved how we see in this season yet again the matchmaking skills of Lady Bridgerton and Lady Danbury, which were a delight to watch.
I think the on-screen chemistry that they both share and the friendship that they're able to show, that's just brilliant and they're a delight to watch.
One of the strongest points of the show is its technical brilliance. I'm a big fan of the look and feel of the show, the cinematography, the production design, especially the costume design.
I think costume design is impeccable. And I'd love to see what different kinds of costumes that create, because there are a lot of characters and everybody wears something different every time you see them on screen. So it has to be a great wardrobe.
And not just the costumes, even the hairstyling, especially with the queen, the wigs she flaunted this season, that was so amazing. Another point that I appreciated, especially for this season, was its creative editing. There was a lot of thought put into montages, transitions, match cuts, and everything.
The editing was very stylistic, and especially the montage in the very first episode when we see Anthony, going through those interviews with the different ladies, going about his business. I think that's very brilliant. Another complaint that I have heard from a lot of people is that the show is historically inaccurate. But I think that's baseless, because it's not about history. It's a fusion of fiction that is set in a time period.
In fact, that is what I love a lot about the show, that it is so modernistic in its approach. Even that the songs they use, the fusion of modern songs and tunes, I love it.
Even I love it a lot. Like during the second season, especially the rendition of Wrecking Ball that they play towards the end, that was just so beautiful.
Also, it is so progressive with its approach, especially with the character of Elios, and even in this season, there is something politically involved, which we won't be telling. But still, I just love that approach.
Now coming to some of the underwhelming aspects of this season, I think a lot of subplots were present in this season and they were given a lot of importance. But I don't think they were as interesting as the subplots in season 1. Like, I could see that they were missing the mark with some of the subplots. Like, particularly, I couldn't see that they had a proper thing going on for Benedict. He was just in the show, and that was something they could have done maybe differently.
I think that is very much true with respect to the Featheringtons. In season 1, still there was an interesting story going on with the Featheringtons, Marina and Colin. But in this season, I was not at all invested in that story.
It was very underwhelming, to say the least.
Yeah, the entire Lord Featherington thing, it was slightly boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of times I just wanted to go back to the main story, the main romance, instead of just hovering around along with Featheringtons or other subplots.
And maybe that was the reason why the series, this season particularly, felt like a slow burn. The pacing was not up to the mark. Some of the episodes at the very start, they felt like they were, building up things, and then suddenly the pace completely dropped, and it became quite nice, quite fast during the climax of the season.
Yeah, the end 3 episodes, 6, 7, 8, they were really amazing, very well paced, and extremely engaging.
Another thing which is not exactly even an underwhelming aspect, but I just wanted to mention it, that they had to reveal the identity of Lady Whistledown, because in the first book only they have revealed it, so people would have read it and it would have been spoiled. But I was very much interested in the anonymity maintained in the first season, instead of the struggle they tried to show that Penelope was going through, making sure that Lady Whistledown, her identity is not revealed, that she is able to continue her business. So I was a little less invested this time.
While starting the season 2, all I had in mind was I just don't want to miss Duke.
Yeah.
Because he was the most charming presence in season 1. And luckily, we did not miss Duke in the season.
I think we should give a lot of credit to Jonathan Bailey,
Yes,
who brought the charm in this season, because there was no Duke to save it. But yeah, a good job he did, and he made things interesting throughout the season.
Another thing that I felt a little weird in this season was how Daphne was going in and going out. She was there with a baby, but one thing that irked me was the Duke's absence in even the marriage of Anthony,
who he claimed to be his best friend in season 1. So that was pretty weird.
Either they could have completely kept all of them 3 out, or they should have asked Duke to come for one more season. Overall, this season really lived up to the expectations that the season 1 had set. It had a lot of drama going on, and the main duo was exceptional.
Another thing which was very much impressive was that some of the most major moments in this series were improvised, and they were not in the book. And I would love to see them do similar things in the future series, and also make sure that subplots are more interesting and they can keep me intrigued throughout the season.
Our overall rating for this season is 4 out of 5 stars. It was really enjoyable and very much binge-worthy. Do let us know your thoughts on this season and this review in the comments below.
And don't forget to like and subscribe and support this channel.
See you next time.